up? It's your girl, Sasha Banks, the legit boss. You are watching Going In Raw. You like that?
Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson, available wherever podcasts can be found, and of course taped live at the twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. This coming Sunday, Hell in a Cell. We're going to be doing our live reactions on the YouTube as per usual for pay-per-views, and then we'll be heading on over here to the Twitch for our live recap of the show. Something tells me, regardless of how Hell in a Cell can go, it won't go as bad for most of the people as last year's went. Oh man, we really got it in the comments for that one, because you and I were like, "Oh, this is Fiend versus Seth Rollins match."
It was something different. I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah, it was totally cool.
Like
people hated that match.
Yeah, I know. Gosh forbid you had a differing opinion. Wow.
People hated that match. That was like that, and then I forget what else. That and like something else.
It's not like we praised Backlash 2018.
Oh man, yeah, it's hard to praise that one. That was one we were just sitting there doing impressions during the whole thing, wasn't it?
The whole time, yeah.
Yeesh.
That was a horrible show.
Yeah, boring is the worst thing. Anyways, so the season premiere of Raw, and which is the go home to Hell in a Cell, went down tonight. I don't even really know what to put in the thumbnail. It was very Fiend heavy, and in fact, much to the detriment of Retribution. I guess we could just sort of start there. Mustafa Ali's promo
was really good.
Was really, really good. He admitted to being the SmackDown hacker, but, you know, words only go so far.
Everything that preceded it for Retribution, not so great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we can kind of get into the beginning of the show, since that's where we're going to start. So the show opens with Alexa Bliss introducing The Fiend to Monday Night Raw. He comes down the ring, and then they're staying in the middle of the ring, posing, like holding hands, kind of. Retribution, they have music now. Mm-hmm. It hits. Mm-hmm. They circle the ring.
Oh,
Bray
wait a second.
Alexa.
Speaking of new music.
Oh, the new music for Raw was really good.
We got new music for Raw. My only complaint about it is that when Tom started talking about the season premiere, and we got an intro and all that kind of stuff, and then Byron started talking, or Joe started talking, and then Byron, there were still lyrics going down in the theme song that had been piped down a little bit, but it still just sounded like there was somebody just off camera, like singing the new Raw theme. But I thought it was pretty good. Yeah. Was that the same song that they had that Bianca Belair video package that I saw like online or on Twitter or something?
I don't recall.
I could be wrong about that, but yeah, it's a cool little tune.
Yeah, it's a good song. Good song.
Yeah.
So getting back to the open, Retribution circles the ring. Ali orders them to attack, or is about to. Lights go down, come back up. Fiend and Bliss, poof, they're gone. Here comes Hurt Business. The brawl breaks out. Hurt Business clears the ring. Mm-hmm. Cedric takes out all of Retribution with a tope. Mm-hmm. So we go to commercial, come back. Matt Riddle video package, I think the same one that played before he debuted on SmackDown. And then we get Retribution versus Hurt Business. And Hurt Business more or less dominated this bout.
Yeah. There was one section where Ali had the better of Cedric. He threw him into the barricade. But you know.
Well, yeah, but then they had to stare down between the two factions of ringside. Fiend shows up with the Tron to go to commercial, and I think we come back shortly thereafter. Oh yeah, we come back from commercial. We come back Shelton and Mace are trading blows, and Shelton takes out Mace. Yeah.
They do that a lot these days. They'll give us a cliffhanger heading into a commercial that they then completely ignore coming out of commercial.
They ended the show on that.
It's kind of, what's that?
Said hell, they ended the show on that.
Oh no, the end of the show was fine because they did that every week on Nitro.
Oh, Nitro.
Every single week they did the Rocky 3 thing where it ends with Rocky and Creed about to trade blows, and then it ends. Every week they did that on Nitro. Yeah. I was actually okay with this particular one. They're about to, Drew and Randy about to throw down. I was okay with that. But this does seem to be a pattern now. Every week we've talked about this. Then the Fiend shows up and they go to commercial. And then they come back and it's like nothing has happened. Or I think last week, wasn't it like, or 2 weeks ago, it was Retribution's logo showed up. We come back from commercial and nothing has happened.
It was a few weeks ago when they were out quarantining. Yeah.
Yeah.
When the Hurt Business were in the ring, they all kind of huddled together in anticipation of them coming. We go to commercial, come back, and the match just continues.
Right, yeah.
As if there was no interruption. Anyway, so in the end, Lashley puts T-Bar in the Hurt Lock. T-Bar or Dijak more or less like elbows his way into it. It's kind of the most hapless way to get put in the Hurt Lock, if I'm being honest. He taps, Hurt Business wins.
Not only is
he,
he's not effective with one elbow, that gets caught. He tries it again because only Dijak would do that, and then he gets
tapped quickly.
He tapped so quick. Yeah.
So not only did Retribution already lose in pretty decisive fashion, lights go down, come back up. Fiend is on the apron next to Mustafa Ali. He just wrecks Retribution single-handedly in really short order. Hits. He's about to hit Sister Abigail on Ali. T-Bar breaks it up. Instead, he eats Mandible Claw and Sister Abigail. And then Bray stares at the Tron while Hurt Business stand on the ramp. Bliss shows up at the Tron, says, "Let him in Bray's voice. And then that's the end of the segment.
Yeah, Retribution did have different gear. It was like mainly black with white trim. So that was to note. I thought Alexa's intro of the Fiend was really cool. I really liked that. I mean, look, dude, here's the thing. I think this is the problem, Larson. I think I've figured it out, okay? Back in the day, we had factions like Right to Censor, the Job Squad, the Freaks, that were factions that were meant to be on the losing end of things. Maybe we have just expected too much from this particular. Maybe this faction is just simply meant to be on the losing end of things. Maybe this is a jobber faction through and through. Maybe we got it wrong. Because that's the kind of evidence from what we saw tonight.
Well, I mean, I think if we got it wrong, it was based on the expectations we put forth because the talent involved in the faction is really good. But from the beginning, from inception, from Genesis, they have not treated Retribution as any sort of legitimate threat. By and large, they've behaved foolishly.
Hapless.
Hapless.
I mean, Dijak is so goofy anyways. Him trying an elbow and getting caught, and then trying another one, he's like, "Oh, I'm stuck now. What do I do in that stupid mask of his?"
Yeah, which he was having to adjust earlier in the match because it kept coming out of place. Now, some of the foolishness kind of went by the wayside once they decided on the members of the group, once they solidified on the core unit. But back when it was people of various sizes changing week to week, just going
various,
out.
You mean between 5 feet and 5'6"?
Yeah, but it would change from week to week, from 5'6" to 5'8", maybe 5'10", then back down to 5'6". Once they solidified on the lineup, it seemed like they were maybe getting into a rhythm, and then this happens. A match they should have won. Cheat to win this match. Whatever it takes.
This match, number one, if you're going to do anything, just have the Fiend wonk it. This match should be happening at like Survivor Series. Yep. Or I guess Hell in a Cell, because that'd be kind of cool.
Yep,
I mean, you don't see a lot of multi-man Hells in a Cell anymore. So, yeah, I don't know why this was the opening bout on Raw. It was a clean loss.
It felt like they were ready to move on from Retribution.
That's really did. It felt like. It really did. I was actually kind of shocked that we had Mustafa Ali's promo. I was like, wow, they were going to, because, Fightful was reporting that he's going to be announced as like the SmackDown hacker or something like that. Or somebody, I think it was them. Yeah, and then they have this horrible loss. I'm like, oh, okay, they're just gonna write them off. They're gonna go back to just being themselves. Okay. And then they didn't do that. And I thought maybe when I did see Mustafa Ali, I thought, okay, maybe he's like gonna use this moment to like say, hey, it was kind of not a rib, but like these are our names, like this isn't T-Bar, he's Dominic Dijakovic. Something like that to sort of, okay, we took this loss, but let's use it to fuel like a change because it's crap. I don't know. It honestly, it felt somebody on Twitter was like, yeah, you get yourself over on social media, this is what happens. That's what it felt like. You sort of sometimes just ascribe things to Vince McMahon and what he considers a sense of humor. Same thing happened with Lana tonight. I was really disappointed in that.
There's that. There's breaking up the Iconics just to put Peyton Royce back into a tag team tonight.
Oh, boy.
There's just all sorts of really confusing, beguiling, frustrating things happening.
It does,
dude. The creative department on Raw.
It does take away from because I thought there were things, I really enjoyed some things about the show tonight. In isolation, some things I really enjoyed. I loved Otis's bit. I loved that. I loved AJ's new relationship with Jordan. I thought that was great. I really enjoyed the Fiend stuff. But then, you get to stuff like, I was really looking forward to Asuka versus Lana. And in fact, for the first 3 minutes of that match, before the 4th minute, when Asuka just tapped her out, the first 3 minutes, Asuka was really selling for Lana. And obviously Asuka was leading this stuff, but Lana was sort of showing that, hey, she's learning some moves. She's learning some sequences. She's really stepping it up a little bit. She ain't Becky Lynch or Bayley, but you can tell there's work being, put in. And she did that terrific crying promo that she just sort of did on her own and put on her own social media. And it was really terrific stuff. Why don't you reward that by giving her a 7-minute match? Give her somewhat of a showing, even if it's a bit on the futile side in the end. And instead, she goes through a table for a 5th time. I thought it was funny for a 4th time. And then, it's like, okay, that's good. And then she gets a title shot. That sort of justified it. Okay, she gets a title. She gets a crafty win in that Battle Royal. She gets a title shot. And then she builds it up herself over the week with that promo. And then, she goes through a table again. And it just feels like one of those things. It was like the Emily, they would just do it as a joke. Like the writers or Vince or whoever, they would just do it as a joke. And too often, you hear stories like that, and it's like, well, they just treat this stuff like their own personal,
playground.
No. Not a forum to tell stories.
Yeah, exactly.
So, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, for everything good on Raw, there's something that's head scratching or frustrating.
Yeah. I can you know me, dude. I can take quite a lot. I can suspend my disbelief quite a bit. But sometimes it's too much.
It's too much.
All right, before we continue, here's a word from the sponsor of today's show, Raycon. Hey, Larson.
Yeah?
I know that you love to keep up with the music. You're always listening to the dopest beats and freshest jams.
Yeah, that's right, Steve. Whether I'm working out or just relaxing at home, I am usually listening to music. And I found that the best way to listen is with a pair of premium earbuds, especially if I can get them for half the price of the other options. That is why I chose Raycon.
Yeah, their newest model, the Everyday E25 earbuds, are their best ones yet. With 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact, comfortable design that gives you a great noise isolating fit.
So whether I'm listening to music or recording a podcast like I am right now, my Raycons have become my go-to wireless earbuds. They're comfortable, sound fantastic. Unlike some of the other wireless options, Raycon earbuds are stylish and discreet. That means no distractions from stems or dangling wires while I'm trying to be productive. You've probably seen celebrities like Snoop Dogg, Brandy, and Mike Tyson are all obsessed with their products. Raycon also has a 45-day free return policy, so you can make sure they're the right pair of wireless earbuds for you.
And for a limited time, get 15% off your order at buyraycon.com/raw. That's buy, B-U-Y, raycon.com/raw for a special 15% discount on Raycon wireless earbuds. Make sure to check it out now while the deal's running. Buyraycon.com/raw. So after that, after the Fiend buries Retribution, AJ Styles comes out with his new heater, his bodyguard, Jordan. You recognize him. Of course, he was the guy, even though if commentary didn't. He was the doorman, the bouncer at Shane's Raw Underground, which now officially, I think now that Jordan's not the bouncer there, it is in fact, officially dead. Man, I have no idea if this guy can wrestle or not. He's got a look, though.
Yeah, man, he's huge. He carries himself. Huge. He carries himself like he's huge. He knows he's huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that might sound like a small thing, but it's not.
No. There are guys that I can't even think of any off the top of my head, but it's like, oh, really? He's that tall? He sort of carries himself smaller.
I mean, it helps Jordan because AJ's he's like about my height.
5'10",
5'10".
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah.
And you see Jordan next to AJ, and you see, there's like a foot and a half difference.
I couldn't pay attention to AJ's promo because they very, very cleverly had the camera widened out so that like Jordan's head is at the top of the frame, right? AJ's head, the top of it was like halfway, maybe. This dude is impressive in size and stature and gravitas.
Yes.
I have no idea what he can do in the ring. If it's on the level of the Great Khali, I don't really know what to do there. But maybe he's got something more. I mean, when you get that tall, when your head is that high up in the clouds, sometimes it could be difficult to move. I don't know, man. I used to watch I'll never forget. I went to a live Kings Rockets game when Yao Ming was on the squad. I told you this before, and seeing a dude. Hey, I mean, he had a terrific NBA career. At that height.
It was just short because he kept on getting hurt.
Man, when you're that tall, your body doesn't want to move around like that. And at least with basketball, you can sort of trot up and down the court. In wrestling, you can't really trot unless you're going to be like a Great Khali type guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I love this team up is great.
Yeah, it's great. You didn't miss much from AJ's promo because it was kind of confusing.
Yeah.
He didn't seem confused by it. He was talking trash about Seth, but Seth's not even on the show anymore.
Yeah.
And how Jeff Hardy maybe saw an opportunity to reclaim the promised land or something. But anyways, he says Raw's real redemption is through himself, AJ Styles. And he's going to beat Matt Riddle tonight, shepherd Raw into the future. It's a new era that belongs to the face that runs the place. So we get AJ Styles versus Matt Riddle. It's a really fun match. The beginning was interesting. I don't know if I've seen this before. The ref's asking Jordan to leave, and he says no. And so it's Jack Daddy ref.
Yeah.
He used to ref the matches at Raw Underground. He should know Jordan.
Yeah, he should.
And so Jack Daddy asks AJ to ask Jordan to leave, and AJ says no. And the ref says, all right, I'll count to 5, and if he doesn't leave by then, AJ, you're going to be disqualified. So Jack Daddy starts counting, and like on 3, Jordan grabs his wrist. And then I've never seen this before. Jack Daddy basically begs Jordan to leave and says, I don't care what you do after the match.
Yeah.
He's pretty much giving Jordan and AJ license to decimate Matt Riddle after the match.
He says, look, man, I'm just trying to do my job, please. And yeah, he begs. It's great. It's great because I was sitting there, I was like, oh, that's when they do something like that. See, this is good writing. When they do something like that and you really start hating and you fear for Jack Daddy at that point. You're like, man, and all the little bits. So we had Matt Riddle versus AJ Styles. Yeah. And you know, I mean, these guys put on a really good match. They did put on a couple of really good matches on SmackDown when Riddle debuted. But Riddle selling Jordan's mere presence. So there's one moment when AJ, he's on the outside. He gets flipped over. He's sort of on the corner there near the apron. Matt Riddle comes out. He's going to do like a kick from the apron. And before
like
he's
PK.
able, as he's about to run into it, Jordan just steps one step to block his path, and they do this great close-up. The TV direction is pretty good. They do the close-up on Riddle, and he looks terrified.
Well, he basically like flies through the ropes to get back in the ring.
Yeah.
He launches himself back in the ring from the apron.
Yeah. So then the finish was similar in that Riddle ends up on the outside of the ring. AJ's on the inside. He's sort of down and out, and as he's getting up and the count is happening, he looks up, and Jordan has very deliberately, slowly, methodically sauntered over to Riddle, and Riddle looks at him, and Jordan just gets out his hand, and he makes it into a fist.
He does like the Arthur meme.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, the Arthur meme, exactly. And Riddle looks at it. He's terrified. He flies back into the ring, eats a drop kick from AJ Styles, clash, and there you go. There's your 3. Really cool stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty well done. After that, we get a Randall Keith Orton Drew McIntyre video package, and then a Drew McIntyre interview. Again, he says since first moment I met Randy, he's been a real SOB, most evil, entitled, selfish individual in WWE. He's smart because after Drew won the ambulance match, he saw him out there next night in Raw with the Legends, took him out knowing full well that Drew would get upset because he's got a temper on him and that he would take another opportunity to face Randy. And then just kind of talks about, hey, you may have all this experience in Hell in a Cell, but my life experience counts. I've been through hell. And, hey, Randy, you got an interview later tonight. Maybe I'll show up.
Yeah, this is just, all I have written down in my notes here is he says Randy's super evil and intelligent. He talks a lot more, but doesn't really say anything. It's just a bunch of noise. Just get to the damn match and let's get this feud over with. After that, we had Asuka versus Lana. Like I mentioned earlier, Lana in the first 3 minutes of the match gets in some offense. The last 2 minutes, if it's even that, just as she gets tapped out by Asuka. Immediately when that happens, Nia Jackson, Shayna Baszler come down. They start clearing the table. Lana gets put through said table. Asuka fights off Shayna, gets out of there. Nia and Shayna cut a promo. They bicker a little bit. Shayna says,
really good.
I like their chemistry a lot. It's really good. Shayna says, we may argue, we may talk, but none of that matters. What does matter is that we dominate. We own the women's tag team titles, which means we own the Raw and SmackDown women's divisions. And Nia says, and if you refute any of that, I dare you to do something about it. The first person to answer this particular challenge, or the first people rather, Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose, they come down. Riot Squad come down. And then Peyton Royce and her longtime partner, Lacey Evans.
Now, they were really selling it like these two were not on the same page. Like one time, Lacey Evans put her arms up right in front of Peyton Royce, and Peyton bumped into it. And there's something else in I think another incident as well. During the match, they weren't exactly working well together. But just the optics of you break up the Iconics. And then a matter of, a month and a half later, you put Peyton in another tag team, even if it's going to lead to a story. If you want to do a feud between Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans, there's probably countless other ways you can do it, as opposed to putting them in a tag team match for the tag titles, given that the Iconics were pretty well liked by a lot of people.
You know what's funny is that you could have had like a really killer, solid women's tag division if you have, Shayna and Nia, I think, are really terrific together. I mean, and that's the kind of thing where you could call it thrown together, but they complement each other so well that it's great. You could have had, and I know they did this really terrific story, I get that, but you could have pushed that and had Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. You could have had, which is just a solid team, plus the Iconics, now the Riot Squad. That's a really good division right there. That's a really good division. Instead, you have a bunch of stuff that's sort of thrown together. Didn't Dana Brooke have like before?
She was in a tag team with Carmelo for a bit, wasn't she?
Oh, is that who it was?
I imagine that.
No, I think, you're right about that.
Yeah, I was thinking to Money in the Bank.
And then I thought, didn't she precede that with a different tag team? I thought she did. I don't know. Anyways.
I don't remember. Carmelo won that spot.
Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke used to be with Emma a bunch.
Oh, yeah.
Back in NXT, but that was ages ago.
Yeah.
That's who I'm thinking.
Years ago.
Okay. So anyways, and then you had Alexa and Nikki Cross. I mean, obviously they're doing really good things with Alexa right now. But they've had some really good tag teams over the past couple of years that are never at the same time on the same page.
And they've always broken them up. Anyways, this is a fun match. In the end, though, Nia tags herself in, hits Lacey Evans with a Samoa drop to get the win. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on early on. There was a brawl ringside, and Peyton hits like crossbody off the top. Lacey follows the moonsault off the second rope, and the Riot Squad from opposite top turnbuckles, ring post, do splashes onto everybody. That was cool.
Yeah, no, that was good stuff. I thought this was actually a pretty fun match. Hood Alex here in chat says, even if they're selling that Lacey and Peyton don't like each other, what's the kayfabe reason they would answer an open challenge? The only kayfabe reason is they're both sitting there watching the monitor. They happen to be watching it together. They see this happen. Yeah. And they look at each other and they just shrug shoulders. Hey, let's just go out there. What's the worst that can happen? They'll tell us not to go.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's not a good story reason. But
No,
that's
it's not.
the
Speaking
only
of-
one that makes sense.
Speaking of what's the worst that can happen, next we had the Elias concert.
I didn't watch it.
Internet went out.
I happened to catch at the very end Jeff
Oh,
Hardy.
oddly enough, I did too.
Jeff Hardy. Oh, your
He was
internet
shredding
came
on the
back
guitar.
on? Your
Yeah,
internet
just
came
in
back
time
on.
to hear Jeff Hardy shred on the guitar.
I happened to
You know,
walk
he's got his own
back.
band.
He does, yeah. He's great. I happened to walk back to my TV as I'm not watching a concert, dude. I'm not doing that.
I mean, this was buffering like the whole time. I assume my internet went down, but then right as Jeff Hardy has that guitar and he shreds.
Magically, the internet comes back. Yeah,
back.
that
I
happens
watched that
sometimes. So Jeff Hardy attacked.
So I didn't know that Elias's music sounds like Kid Rock essentially.
So like I'll confess, I started doing something else like on my phone when this was on. Like this was I don't even get the point. Well, it was just a song.
Yeah, he's got an album that's actually being released and they want to sell it.
Man, nobody wants to hear that shit. What the? This
so he
is
came out
the
and
Attitude
lip-
Era when they
and
had cool
lip-synced.
music. Do 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 do. Give me Jim Johnson's greatest hits.
This sounds like what is that Kid Rock song that ripped off Werewolves of London?
Shit, I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about? That was like half with the Werewolves of London and Werewolves in London.
I don't even know what that song is.
Oh, it's got the same chord progression as Sweet Home Alabama.
Okay. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, dude. I don't, somebody here will know. Somebody in chat.
It kind
will
of sounded
know.
like his medley kind of sounded like that song.
Dex Guns has a good question here in chat. Who's in the right in this feud between Elias and Jeff Hardy? Elias is totally within his rights to want restitution.
Yeah, but it's been established that Jeff Hardy did not hit him with the car.
He
was exonerated.
He does not seem to understand that.
Okay, how does that make him in the right then? In the face of evidence that Jeff Hardy is innocent, he still pursues it?
He claims that he saw Jeff Hardy.
Okay.
You know what it's like,
No,
dude?
Jeff Hardy's in the right.
It's like it's like watching.
There's no argument.
Why wouldn't
no
he come
argument.
at him with like words instead of violence? Though, say, dude, listen.
I know.
Here's the police report. That's why I think Jeff Hardy's in the wrong. Come at him with words. Look, okay, I'll take that one.
I think Jeff Hardy did. He's like, I didn't hit you with the car. I think he said that, and then Elias busted a guitar over his back. What is Jeff Hardy supposed to do then?
Well, okay.
Jeff Hardy's in the right.
It's like on Date. It always makes me unsettled when on like Dateline, when like somebody. It all goes back to Dateline. When somebody is they get like proven innocent, but the family who had believed them to be guilty originally, they still want that person locked up. They're like, no, we still think he did it, even though there's plenty of evidence to suggest he didn't do it. You got to let go of that and then go after the guy who actually did it.
Yep.
But, when your loved one gets murdered, it's probably hard to do. Anyways, after that, Miz and Morrison are backstage talking about Otis and this imaginary trial that is probably going to crack me up. Tucker shows up and gets really upset. Says he's going to find a tag partner to make their lives miserable. They laugh at him. And then I have in my notes, man, I really hope it's Otis in disguise. After that, New Day come out. But first, there's an Elias interview backstage. He's upset about Jeff's attack. He fights, and he's going to fight Jeff Hardy at Hell in a Cell. That's got to be in the kickoff, right? Like, that's the announcement of the kickoff. All right, before we continue, here's a word from the sponsor of today's show, Hawthorne. Larson, I've been thinking about making some changes of late. I want to improve my self-care routine. The problem is, I don't know where to start.
Well, if Steve wants to take better care of Steve, check out Hawthorne. Hawthorne is a premium tailored personal care brand that's making it easy for guys to feel and smell their best. You start off by taking a quiz.
Yeah, I know. I'm already taking the quiz right now. They're asking me about what my favorite drink is, what I like to do on a night out, and how sweaty I am.
Yeah, it's all pretty straightforward stuff. And based on my answers, I got a bunch of cool personal care products, including some awesome mint-scented body wash that's really refreshing, and some soothing hand lotion that helps my hands from getting too dried out, especially as the weather gets cooler. So, Steve, if you want to upgrade your self-care routine, Hawthorne is a convenient way to get really high-quality products tailored for your specific needs.
So I just got me some deodorant, some shampoo, and some hydrating face cleaner, all suited to my personal needs. And Hawthorne offers free shipping on your order and returns. And if you don't like your products, they'll even retailer them for you based on your feedback.
So do what we did. Take Hawthorne's quiz today and get started on your personalized self-care routine by going to hawthorne.co and use promo code GIR to get 10% off your first purchase. That's HAWTHORNE.co, promo code GIR, hawthorne.co, promo code GIR. So we have Kofi Kingston versus Sheamus. Before that, New Day dropped a promo. Say the Raw Tag Champs for the first time in 4 years. A lot has changed since then. Xavier Woods says last year at this time he tore his Achilles. He calls 2020 a garbage fire.
He's got some PTSD already from.
And he says finally I come back and they split us up from Big E. Kofi's like, breathe, just breathe. You're interrupted by Sheamus. He tells them he's happy they stopped crying. There's only 2/3 of the New Day in the ring, and they're both going to end up on the wrong side of a bro kick. And Kofi says, hey, man, New Day isn't over or finished. Just means that Big E is holding it down on SmackDown. Woods and Kofi are holding it down on Raw. And that means their seed. And while he's saying that, he's saying the seed while doing this.
He starts like making jack-off motions with his hand. It's hilarious.
The seed of positivity. They spread it all over the WWE universe. And Sheamus says, tell them to look at reality. Power of positivity isn't reality. They're all divided. Since they're divided, they'll fall. And Wood's like, oh yeah, speaking of falling, didn't Big E drop you in the hood of a car? So apparently he forgot what it feels like to get beat up by a member of the New Day. So get down the ring so Kofi can kick your ass with his I-5, some Iverson 5s he was wearing.
They started talking shit about Sheamus being ashy.
That was great.
Like you can't forget your lotion.
Where's your Jergens at?
Where's your Jergens at? That was pretty funny. And then they want to do New Day rocks, but like they miss Big E there to do it with them because he's usually the guy who says because. And so Sheamus' bit was pretty funny because Sheamus started saying, no, don't say it. Don't say it. And they're like, come on, let's just say it. He's like, no, don't say it. And they both give him a New Day rocks. And then Kofi and Sheamus have a really terrific match, man. I thought this was a lot of fun.
This was really good. This was really good. And then Big E and Thunderdome played a pivotal plot point. Kofi's getting beat up pretty good by Sheamus. Xavier Woods notices that Big E is on one of the LED screens, and it's like, Kofi, look, it's E.
He's in Thunderdome without a shirt.
Yeah, I know. And so Kofi starts his comeback. There's a little bit more back and forth, but eventually Kofi picks up the win with Trouble in Paradise. But yeah, this was a really fun match.
Jorge D has literally the exact opposite opinion of mine. There are actually two spots here that I wasn't a fan of. The Alabama Slam. And then there was
like that move.
I hate that move. And then there was another one where like Kofi just sold the crap out of some slam to the floor. And I'm like, dude, those two concussions.
Oh, that's the one, the apron spot?
Yeah. Boy, those were rough. But just a really terrific match, really physical. Like you said, Kofi picked up that win with Trouble in Paradise. Terrific stuff. So after that, we had the Retribution promo. Mustafa Ali talks about how, my strength isn't just in numbers. I'm trying to figure out what it is then, pal. He says, this is a really well delivered promo.
Yeah, it was really good.
This line was really great. He says, when I was sitting at home, because this company couldn't figure out how to make a buck off a guy named Mustafa Ali, he said, I learned all their secrets, all the people here. I might as well confess, I was a SmackDown hacker. He says, I found these guys, I unified them because I promised I would help them find their truth. And if you try to stop the truth, I will shut you down. Maybe he's going to start blending some of the hacker stuff into Retribution because the numbers game clearly didn't work. And you can counter that with numbers. But if his premise is you can't counter the truth and I'm going to expose that, maybe it'll become more of a psychological game, or maybe they'll just keep on getting squashed.
Why they lost in their opening bouts because he had to, and to a degree, go back to the drawing board with strategy in terms of how to destroy WWE from the inside, essentially.
Yeah.
So that could be. And if it ends up being a story beat, and then once he employs this new strategy and they start doing well, then, maybe we'll be singing a different tune at that point. But yeah, it was a really good promo. Mustafa Ali's great in the mic.
The talent is there. And he can do no wrong on the mic, this kid. He's so great. Let's just get a good story and make him a real threat. I want him to be scary.
Get him in a feud with Bob Lashley for that U.S. title.
Speaking of Bob Lashley, the Hurt Business was backstage, and they're minding their own business. Titus comes up, and he tries to pitch himself to Hurt Business. He says, with my connections, with my position in the community, in the company, I can really take Hurt Business worldwide. And MVP says, oh, wow, that's great. Worldwide, sure. Yeah, well, tell you what, me and my business partners here will discuss it. So he turns around. They literally don't say anything. And they turn back around and they, okay, we discussed it. And then he's like, okay, we're in business. And he's like, oh, man, that's great. He shakes MVP's hand. He shakes Shelton's hand. He shakes Bob Lashley's hand. And Bob Lashley looks from the get like he just wants to beat the shit out of this guy. So Bob Lashley doesn't really let go, and Titus doesn't notice because he's like, happy to be part of it. And he's like, all right, let's do business. MVP says, no. We're in business. And then Lashley looks at him and says, we're in business. And then they all just lay into him. The funny thing is Cedric moves the other guys out of the way to get the first punch in. That was great. Awesome. He's like the hothead of the group, and I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
After that, we had Miz and Morrison versus Tucky and mystery partner. So Miz and Morrison, they're cutting a promo. Tell Tucky to bring out his tag team partner. Yeah. He and Morrison start this new chant. Interrupted by Heavy Machinery's music, Tucky says, when that bell rings, you won't be laughing. He scoured the globe and found one of the world's premier luchadors, and it's just Otis in a mask.
El Gran Gordo, si senor Tucky, mi nombre es El Gran Gordo, which means the fat guy.
So Miz is like, no, that's just Otis in a mask. Tucky says, no, look, it's El Gran Gordo. Miz says, explains a bit more about why he's trying to take that briefcase from Otis, because Otis isn't championship material. Says Otis spits on everyone who ever held the contract. That contract changed Miz's career, and Otis is wasting it. Why is he making a joke out of it? Because maybe Otis is the joke.
I appreciated that. Yeah, Miz was really intense here. I like the juxtaposition of the comedy stuff and then Miz just bringing it down like a bummer. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, it was good. And he goes on, you look at the difference between Otis and I. I look like a WWE superstar. I've beat Hall of Famers. I represent the company. Yet everybody boos me and cheers Otis. Why? Because Otis is an underdog story. But that's really just code for feeling sorry for you. And they'll feel sorry for you once I win that court case and bring prestige back to Money in the Bank. So anyways, Heavy Machinery, they hit the ring, clear it, go to commercial, come back. Not too dissimilar from any other Heavy Machinery match. Tucky's the one getting isolated. Otis gets the hot tag. He ends up pinning Miz after a Caterpillar elbow and a Vader bomb.
Yep. After that, we had backstage El Gran Gordo, Tucky, and the New Day all celebrating together. And then Mandy, this was actually nice. We got a little reunion here. Mandy brought, I don't know, maybe she was meeting El Gran Gordo for the first time. She brought him a ham. He starts rubbing that on himself. And the New Day starts singing El Gordo Rocks.
One pretty cool thing about the match is that Otis did a hip toss off the second rope.
He did some lucha moves, man. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really good. See, I am totally cool with this violation of the brand split because it's storyline motivated and they're actually trying to get around the brand split by having him dress up like a different character, even if it's plainly see-through. I think that's great. I think it's really good, and that's how the brand split should be treated. All right, before we continue, here's a word from the sponsor of today's show, Keeps. Hey, Larson.
Yeah?
You know me.
Oh, I do.
I've always liked having hair. As far back as high school, I've been wrapped up in my hair. So when I first noticed it getting a little thin up here, I panicked a little bit, but thankfully there's Keeps, the simple and easy way to keep your hair.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 men, that's 66%, will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they're 35. but the best way to prevent hair loss is to do something about it while you still have some hair up there.
Yeah, now it's more convenient than ever. Back in ye olden days, you'd have to go to the doctor's office for your hair loss prescription. But with Keeps, you can visit a doctor online and get your hair loss treatment delivered direct to your door.
So find out for yourself why more than 100,000 men trust Keeps for their hair loss prevention medication. Keeps treatments start at just $10 a month, and for a limited time, you can get your first month free.
So if you're ready to take action now and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/raw to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's Keeps, KEEPS.com/raw.
Again, that's keeps.com/raw, KEEPS.com/raw. After that, we had Firefly Funhouse on Raw. Bray said he's sad to leave his friends on SmackDown, but he's excited to make new friends on Raw. Flashback to the beatdown of Retribution that opened the show, and he says it's off to a great start. Abby tells him to be quiet. She's trying to sleep. Bray tells her not to be crabby. Raw is all about having fun. And Rambling Rabbit says Raw is also about new beginnings. He says he's going to be a better father and a husband. And Bray's like, oh, I didn't know you had a wife. And Rabbit says, well, it's because you never asked. And Bray promises to be a better friend. Flashbacks to all the time that Rambling Rabbit has died in the funhouse. And Bray says, the past is in our heads, the future is in our hands. And Rabbit says, all I wanted was a fresh start. He gets eaten by Mercy the Buzzard. And then he makes a joke about fresh start, more like fresh meat. You hear someone laughing from behind the door. He opens it. It's Alexa Bliss. She says their fun is just getting started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like that. I like Alexa with Bray. I think it's really, really good.
Yeah. And then we got Braun Strowman versus Keith Lee. I don't know why I'm assuming this match will happen again at Hell in a Cell, and Keith Lee will win that one.
Yeah, probably. That makes sense.
But it would. It's the dude has to do to get a win on TV.
Oh, I don't mind this. I mean, he got a giant head.
He got headbutt in the front area.
Yeah. So I mean, I'd probably be able to kick out of that. That sucks. He'll get the next one.
I wish there was some consistency. Some people get kicked in the front area, hit the front area, and they take another move, like a finish or a signature at least, and they kick out.
Yeah.
And he gets headbutt in the front area, just eats a boot.
Right on top of each other. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Just give me an example. You don't have to do it off the top of your head. That's kind of rude of me to put you on the spot. But if you can find it, generally speaking, come on, the low blow and a move. The low blow and a move is enough to get a 3 count. On top of that, you got to think about the fabric involved here. There is the thinnest layer of fabric between.
Dude, short of chainmail, no fabric's going to do much to alter the effects of a low blow. In fact, chainmail will actually make it worse because that's a harder fabric.
Well, chainmail isn't a fabric. It
was hyperbole, man. It was going to an extreme.
It's like jeans. Are you kidding me? Getting kicked in the nuts with jeans versus like spandex? Like basically, it's like boot on nut, man.
If you get kicked in the balls with any sort of force behind it, doesn't matter what fabric there is there.
You know, one thing you're not taking into account. There are various effects when somebody gets kicked in the nuts. There's that one.
Here's another thing.
Where it's like
another thing.
Go ahead.
The pain doesn't come immediately.
Well, yeah, that's where the move comes in, because the move hits you right when it's getting you bad.
I know, but there should be at least 5 seconds where Keith Lee should be like, "Oh, here's how a nut shot should be sold."
The head went up, and he went, "Oh, my nuts." And then, like 5 seconds later, there was a boot. That's when the pain kicks in.
No, but he was acting like the pain kicked in immediately.
No, it's the anticipation. He knew that it was going to be there.
No, that's not how I anticipate when I get kicked in the nuts.
How often do you get kicked in? And when's the last time you had a giant head hit you in the nuts?
It's always this. When there's any sort of shot to the front area, it's always this. All right, is it going to hurt?
Oh, I always know. I'm always like, oh, this is going to suck. Yeah, dude. No, this totally made sense. That poor guy, the thinnest layer of fabric.
Material doesn't matter. If you have Braun Strowman's giant dome,
that's
hitting you in the front area,
ridiculous. You're being silly right now.
You're being silly.
If
like,
this was
jeans,
jeans,
make any difference from spandex? No, it's not going to make any difference. Here's another thing about jeans too: is that they're if your nuts are in your jeans and there's less movement involved there. Like those nuts are smashed right up against your pelvic area. There's nowhere for them to go. They're gonna get the full brunt of it. At least in spandex, there's some stretch to it.
You're insane if you think that jeans versus spandex, there's no difference.
Not with the amount of force being applied to the area. There's no difference.
Man, there's clearly a difference. If you're nude and you get kicked in the nuts, there's a difference between that and if you have jeans on. And being nude ain't that different than just having spandex on.
Hugh Longheavy says, dick shots hurt, give it up.
Yeah, well, yeah, it all hurts. It all hurts, but I'm just saying if you just have spandex on, it's probably going to sting a bit more.
I don't think that's the case with the amount of force being applied to it. If anything, it's negligible.
All right, we're going to have to test this one out. You wear spandex, I wear jeans, and then we'll just start kicking each other in the nuts.
All right.
Anyways, I like the character work in this match, especially after the end when Keith Lee ate that the dick shot, the big boot. Braun got the pin, and then while he was celebrating, Lee grabbed him, kicked him right in his dick and balls, and talked some serious shit. That's why I was okay with this, because they really let Keith Lee lay into him like verbally afterwards. And I'm like, oh, okay, he'll pick up a victory. Now, if he doesn't, I will come back on this show and be like, Larson, you're right, this is a bad move, but he's gonna take it.
Like, here's the thing, this thing in a bubble, I get it. It's just like Keith Lee can't buy a win. They're trying to establish him facing top of the card guys, which I appreciate, rather than just have him run through jobbers and do squash matches again, which I appreciate. Yeah. But for him to get all these like lose because his opponent cheated, or all these DQs, it just, I don't know, it takes the wind out of his sails somewhat. It's deflating as a fan of his work to see this continually. Whether he's involved in DQ finishes or shady losses, you know? Yeah.
Honestly, he's been off TV for a little bit. They should have given him 3-minute squash matches in the meantime to build up to this. And then maybe you do, one thing that I like that AEW does is that they'll telegraph upcoming feuds by having guys scout matches. I've always liked that. I think that's cool. Have Braun scout the new monster on the block. Lionheart here mentions also Keith Lee called himself the Dragon. I thought that was really cool. So, this is going to continue, man. I like it. Keith Lee.
Oh, I know. Keith Lee's ultimately going to win the feud. Yeah.
They have no problem giving Braun Strowman losses. We've seen that. I just thought it was funny that he was celebrating so much after, headbutting a guy in the balls.
They're trying to find new and interesting ways to do low blows. Randall Orton locked himself inside Hell in a Cell to close the show, and this was kind of a boring middle road promo, going down memory lane again.
Oh God,
this is where I did this. This is where I did that. This is where I earned Undertaker's respect. Blah 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 blah. And says when you think of Hall of Famers, legend. The word legend comes to mind. A word thrown around a lot these days. There are legends. It felt like it was like a lecture.
Yeah. It did.
There are legends and legendary moments, because as Drew winning at Mania was a legendary moment. This brings Drew to the ring. He can't get in the cell, of course, because Orton locked the door. Orton's egging him on. Tells him he has to wait till Sunday. Says, hey, break the lock if you want a piece. Come get him. And Drew says, all right. And he goes and pulls out some bolt cutters from behind the barricade. Cuts open the chain, enters the cell. Randy grabs the chair he was sitting on earlier, and we just kind of have a stare down to end the show.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to telegraph who wins at Hell in a Cell. They don't want to show the math.
Yeah, we don't know who stood tall. I mean, Drew kind of did with the bolt cutters.
I guess so. He outthought Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Anyways, you want to answer some questions?
Yeah, sure. I've got a Patreon thread up here. Trying to find some good ones of stuff that we have.
I'm just trying to do something. Ask the real question: what's the payoff? Do we find out who hit Elias?
Wasn't it supposed to be Sheamus?
Yeah,
because it was like a guy with red hair.
Yeah,
I mean, Elias really should just turn his attention to Sheamus. They're on the same brand now.
I know.
So he was on TV tonight. He should have attacked him then.
Well, here's it's either one of two things. Either no, they're never going to go back to it after this, or Elias is going to be heel strictly for this feud with Jeff Hardy, and then he's going to turn face to feud with heel Sheamus because Sheamus was the one who hit him with the car.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm on this Patreon thread. I'm sort of looking for questions, so just so people don't get upset that I'm not answering your questions. I'm looking for questions for stuff that we haven't answered yet.
There you go.
And I don't really read questions that are just expressions of frustration. I need like an actual question.
Empor, thank you for the sub. Dex Gunn says, Ali sold me on the faction just by this one promo. It was a really good promo.
Okay, I like this question. Wolfpack for Life says, based solely on tonight's season premiere, Larson, let's say you're a brand new, let's say you've never, professional wrestling, what's that? Oh, it's like soap operas, but like fighting. Oh, cool. Let me check it out. The season premiere of Raw. What superstars do you think new viewers like the most? If you're coming into this totally bare, Mustafa Ali stands out. He really stands out.
Drew McIntyre always stands out.
Well, Drew always stands. Yeah, I know, but you know what? Until he came out shirtless at the end, if I were to have seen him as like a new person, he's just wearing like a black button-up shirt and he's got the championship. I thought his interview was kind of boring. So like
a little bit. The New Day always stand out because they're always really entertaining.
They stand out. I thought Keith Lee really stood out because of the shit talk after that match. I thought that, to me, that guy really stands out. You cannot help but just be into the Fiend and Alexa. That stuff is so strong. That's really, really amazing stuff. And then Jorge here, perfect. Kids would love El Gran Gordo. I think that stuff is really strong too.
Zondo, New Day feels off with only 2 guys. Could anyone on Raw join New Day? No. No.
You don't want a Vance and Coy situation. This ain't, this ain't that, people. Okay, who could it be? Let's say they did it. It would all be bad. What would be the worst? What would be something that they would legitimately try and it would just be like, no, man, no.
Miz.
They would legitimately try Miz. Hey, yeah, everybody's saying Titus. Didn't Titus try to join the New Day once?
Yeah, I think so.
He should try that again.
Dex Guns, Keith Lee should join Retribution because it sure seems like they want to push Retribution more than Lee, who is money. No, I mean, like I said, the frustration with the main event tonight, I mean, call it frustration. It was just more so because it was a steady pattern they've kind of established with Keith Lee that they just don't have him win matches on TV.
I like to think that I have more faith in it just because it's a clean slate season premiere. This is obviously going to be his first like real thing. They tried to make a big deal about his debut, having him in a thing with Randy and then Drew. And it's just like they wanted to protect him, but how are you going to do that without pinning those guys? That's a predicament to be in. He had a really solid win against Andrade. I think he had another one. So
he beat Randy Orton.
He legitimately beat Randy Orton. It's just, he went on a run of wonk finishes.
Yeah. Jorge D. WWE has enough kayfabe bands and singers throughout history to have a battle of the bands. Who would win the battle of the bands? Well, John Cena is probably the most successful.
Can we add WCW into it with the West Texas Rednecks? No good.
I mean, you can if you want to, but I wouldn't pick them as the winner.
Me neither.
I don't think they actually played any instruments.
Who's actually had the highest charting album?
I think it's John Cena.
It's Jim Johnston is the answer.
Oh, yeah, all right. Jim Johnston, though, unfortunately does not exist in kayfabe WWE.
Tyler Quint, how would you have Miz or Morrison cash in on Drew if they take the Money in the Bank briefcase from Otis? I think Miz is going to take it. I would love to see that. I'd love to see Miz get to that main event level again. I think he's got it in him. I think his promos on Otis have been really good. So, I mean, how they do it, I don't know. You wait till Drew you have Miz. I mean, ideally, you have Miz get that briefcase off Otis before Hell in a Cell, like in the kickoff or something.
Yep.
And then you cash in after Hell in a Cell because that's going to be a brutal match.
Yep. Jeremiah P. Rank 5 greatest nutshot finishes.
Oh, man, I don't know. That's sort of putting me on the spot. My memory's terrible.
Yeah, mine is too.
I did always like Nakamura's That was like post-match, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When he gave that
the
to
low
AJ.
blow of Mania, yeah.
Yeah, I always liked that one. Because it's like, oh, cool, we're going to get a new Nakamura now.
Thank you, Joe, for the bits.
I like to hear chat's answers on what they feel the best ones were, and then I'll just steal some of those answers.
Oh yeah, if you know some good classic wrestling nut shots, leave it in the comments, please.
Yeah.
Dang MQ, Jordan was in the same PC class as Priest, Riddle, Mia Yim, Carrillo, and Chelsea Green.
Okay. All right. That sounds right. Yeah, Yano. Yeah, I'm always good for a Yano low blow. Who's he fighting?
Oh, yeah.
He's taking on Zack Sabre Jr. at Power Struggle.
Yeah, for the King of Pro Wrestling provisional trophy.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
That's cool. Let's see here. Hoodlum Joe Bro. Should shows end like this, like how Raw ended? I loved it because it reminded me of Nitro. So yes, I love the cliffhanger ending.
As long as they don't do it every week like they did on Nitro.
No, I'm fine with that. As long as they don't. You know, it was great because, dude, I always wanted to know what happened afterwards, and I really was like, oh man, I gotta watch Thunder to find out what happened.
Yeah, they twisted your arm to watch Thunder.
They did.
That was the impressive feat.
Because I'm a mark. Big Chris, what do you guys think is the most underrated Hell in a Cell match? One of my favorites. One of my favorite is the New Day Usos.
Oh, that's so good.
I mean, maybe history needs more time to rate that properly, but goddamn, that was good.
Alan J. So with Jordan being with the great AJ Styles, what is Jordan's ceiling once he starts wrestling? Depends how he comports himself in the ring.
I don't know.
I just don't know how good he is.
No idea. If he's like the great Khali, it ain't very high.
Anthony says Taker Brock was so fun. That's when remember Brock took the padding off the mat and F5'd Undertaker on the wood.
Yeah, I remember that being cool.
Oh, he means the one from 2002. I don't remember that one.
Oh, wait, what?
Their first Hell in a Cell match, not the one in 2015 or whatever it was.
Let's see here.
That one
Scooter.
was fun, though.
Scooter asks, who is the sexiest stud muffin, Steve Larson or a calzone with mac and cheese in it? A calzone! George! George, this calzone has mac and cheese in it. Let's see here. Oscar asks, would you guys like to see Nikki win the Rumble? And then it's Crazy Alexa versus the old psychotic NXT Nikki Cross at WrestleMania. I would like to see Alexa and The Fiend get those titles. I think that'd be great. Mm-hmm. That'd be so cool. Mm-hmm. It's all the questions I have
Flats
here.
3 says Becky and Sasha at Hell in a Cell was really good. That was really good last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that was really good. Triple H versus Jericho Judgment Day 2002 is being pointed out here by Jay Molina.
Mr. Dub says Punk versus Undertaker.
We'll end on this question, and then we'll answer some more for the Twitch chat afterwards. Hugo Longheavy says, obviously Big E was shirtless in Thunderdome, but do we know if he had any clothes on? Larson, did you read up any at all today about Jeffrey Toobin from CNN?
Oh, God. Yeah.
I did not expect to see that because I saw the screenshot.
Oh, wow.
Oh, boy. Because it's like a 12-person Zoom call.
Yeah. They're doing like an election simulation.
Yeah. Man, that dude was all out. Everywhere. Crank. Don't Google it. Don't Google it if you haven't seen it. You don't want to see it.
I read about the story on Twitter.
That dude was hog out. He was road wild, man.
Wow.
Big E was about to have a Toobin moment. Anyways, on that, thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Be a part of the best pro wrestling podcast today at patreon.com/Steve and Larson. Enjoy tons of bonus videos, including patron-only live shows, gameplay, and vintage 10 for the wins, access to podcast question threads, the Friendo Care Package, and so much more. Support Going In Raw today at patreon.com/Steve and Larson.